Good evening, everyone. I'm Ankit, and you're watching the Indian Express analysis, which goes live every day at 4 p.m. on StudyIQ IS English channel. Today is 11th of July, and I'm traveling second day consecutively to Gurgaon just to take this session. So please give me a thumbs up, or even better, hit the like button and let me know in the comments what you feel about it, right? So our today's discussion will cover 6 important articles. I understand these articles are quite good and in detail, so we might have difficulty in completing this article today. So what I'll do now, the remaining article which gets left out in this today's discussion now, I'll record separate video and get it uploaded, right? Now, good evening, VP Dhyan, Augustine, Simte, Rishi, Anuj, Ashi, Yash, good evening all of you. Now, these 6 articles I've picked up from the Indian Express newspaper. We'll start our today's discussion by understanding what is International Criminal Court. International Criminal Court is in news because it issued arrest warrants against 2 prominent Taliban members. So what is the jurisdiction of ICC? International Criminal Court I'm talking about, not International Cricket Council, right? So what is the jurisdiction of ICC? How is it similar or different than International Court of Justice? We'll also do that in our today's discussion. And this is relevant from GS paper 2 perspective, right? Because it is a body, although India is not a part of it. So these kind of bodies are important because they deal with different aspects of governance at the global level. In the second article, we'll understand the significance of country known as Namibia, which is located in southwestern part of the Africa from Indian perspective. And why are we dealing with Namibia today? Because Prime Minister Modi recently did an official visit to this country, which was after a long period of time. So there must be something important for India in Namibia, right? Similarly goes both ways. So we'll understand what is the significance of Namibia in international relation as far as India is concerned. This article again is relevant from GS paper 2 perspective, right? In the third article, we'll understand, can you arrest a particular ship? Right? This must be weird, but it is actually true. Courts have in their power to arrest a particular ship. So we'll understand the laws behind it. Why has Madras High Court given a permission so as to allow for arrest of a ship, and what is the background of that issue? Everything we'll understand in great detail, okay? Now, this is somewhat relevant from GS paper 2 perspective because it deals mostly with the matters of law and governance. And this topic also is relevant from environmental perspective because environmental reason was given so as to allow for arrest of a particular ship. So it is relevant from both polity and environment syllabus. So that is why the beauty of newspaper articles now, that they don't segregate themselves to a particular subject. When you analyze an article, you have to keep an open mind so that you can get the gist of it, maybe from multidisciplinary point of view, which we exact do in our today's session. In the fourth article, again an environmental related article, we'll understand why is there a need to reform the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, UNFCCC. You understand UNFCCC is a global convention or a grouping which allows countries to promise measures so as to allow the control of global warming in the world, right? But these have not been quite effective because we understand, although every one of us is aware that global warming is the world's biggest problem, but has country or are countries doing anything about it? Yes and no. So why aren't countries following the decisions that they have themselves promised in the UNFCCC? That we'll find out. So basically, we'll critically analyze the role of UNFCCC in ensuring the control of global warming in the world. That is why I told you this is relevant from GS paper 3 perspective. In the fifth article, we'll be understanding why Indian Air Force fighter aircraft Jaguar, it crashed recently. And in addition to that, we'll also learn why is IAF still using decades old aircrafts like MiG-21, like Jaguar, because these aircrafts, they frequently crash, which sometimes may even lead to death of the pilots, which is quite a horrible thing to do. So what circumstances is forcing the Indian Air Force to use these legacy aircrafts instead of buying the new aircrafts which we urgently need? So this we are going to understand in great detail. This is a very good article. Please pay close attention to it. In case if we don't have the time to cover the last 2 articles now, I'll promise you that I'll record these videos separately and get it uploaded today or tomorrow. No need to worry. And in the last article, we'll be covering what are enemy properties. And in this regard, we'll also understand about a Bollywood personality, Saif Ali Khan, which you may hear in the Lay's advertisement. He says, well, right, but that doesn't happen. So, in that regard, what is Saif Ali Khan's role? Why is he contesting a particular property, which sometimes can also be referred to as enemy property? So, what are the legislations behind it? What are the reasons that government dominates or categorizes any property as an enemy property? That we'll try to understand. This is relevant again from governance perspective. And the Jaguar crash, it is somewhat relevant from India's security perspective. So, the GS paper 3 is the relevant paper here, right? So these are the 6 articles that we are going to cover in our today's discussion. The notes of the session, you know it, they will be available on the Telegram channel. This Telegram channel is called as ATS Live. So you can go subscribe to this channel if you still haven't and download the notes, okay? Now, good evening. आज भी neck अभी भी ठीक नहीं है ना? Yes, it is okay, much better than what it was on Tuesday. I can manage. Well, when I have to travel so much na, neck pain is not the number one priority. Number one priority is to get here on time. It roughly takes me 2 hours 10 minutes. Took me 2 hours 10 minutes from my home till this office here in Gurgaon, Sector 39. Right? Now, good evening, all of you, the late joinees. Nitesh, how is your neck spasm? It is much better, Nitesh. Thank you for asking. Arnab, good evening. Mahamim, good evening. Yashi, Shashmita, Govind, Bhanu. Shashmita, take care of yourself. Thank you, Shashmita. NM, good evening. Sipra, Jui, Kanchan, Shushmita, Mamta, Rishi, Shushmita, Reshma, Baga, Yash, good evening. 4 hours of 20 minutes just for traveling. Yes, if I continue to do this for entire week, roughly I'm spending 25 hours every week to travel, which is more than 1 day time. Understood? GS 1, 2, 3 क्या होता है sir? Well, if you look at the main syllabus na Govind, you will realize the syllabus of mains is divided into 4 different papers for general studies. That is GS paper 1, GS paper 2, GS paper 3 and GS paper 4. Well, some of you had suggested me to not to use the pillow, and it has actually helped. So thank you to the person who suggested me that. That has actually helped, and Volini also has helped. Right? Okay, so Govind, that is why I told you, every one of you, after the session ends now, please go download the main syllabus from UPSC's website and mug it up, right? Ratta Marlo GS ka pura syllabus. It will help you, trust me when I say this. Sir, can you cover all mains SC judgments? Well, I am in a process. I have covered some of the judgments. I will do so whenever I get the time, and it will be quite near future. I am planning something new. I will let you know whatever that plan is. Basically, that plan involves to do more topic-based videos in addition to what we are doing right now, right? So, no need to worry. Your daily sessions won't go anywhere. But I'll also add to the topic-based videos which might be very relevant from your exams perspective, but also will help you in improving your knowledge base, right? And please show your appreciation by hitting the thumbs up button. Give this video a like. Okay? Govind, sir, I am currently in second year from Bhavan's College in Mumbai. Yes. Very great city. Great food, great people, Mumbai. How many of you have visited Mumbai? Anyone? Please make sure to visit that city whenever you get the chance. That city has different energy. That city has positive vibes. You will realize how life can actually happen, and regardless of if the person is poor or rich, everyone is happy in Mumbai, unlike other cities. Okay, so let's start our today's session. Need not waste much of your time. Our first article is from today's newspaper from the explained section, and this says that what has ICC, that is International Criminal Court, has done to issue warrants against Taliban leaders, right? So in that regard, Taliban leaders, why they are subjected to ICC is not important. But what is International Criminal Court, what are its jurisdiction, what it does and what it can't do, that becomes important from our exams perspective, right? So we'll discuss this article, and it is relevant from GS paper 2 perspective. GS paper 2 is the paper that deals with IR, polity, social justice, right? How do I know this? Because I've remembered each and every topic that is there in GS paper 1, 2, 3 and 4. And I'll ask you to do the same. Oh, Mamta, where do you live in Mumbai? Which place? Well, I've actually traveled a lot on western line of your local, right? Which connects from Borivali till Churchgate. So I've traveled a lot. So that part of the Mumbai I'm quite aware of. Not so much about Navi Mumbai, etc. Okay? Or Dombivali. Okay, okay. Very nice place also. I've visited there once, but I was about in 4th or 5th standard, so I don't remember much about Dombivali, right? So let us start. Let's not waste our time, okay? Well, are these sessions visible to you? I can't see them on YouTube for some reason. Okay? So, the International Criminal Court on July the 8th, it issued a warrant of arrest for 2 senior leaders of Taliban, that are these people, for crimes of persecuting women, girls and others who oppose the gender policy of the Islamist militia that currently rules Afghanistan. Right? Okay, good. So this is the context of our today's discussion. Now, what is International Criminal Court? International Criminal Court is a world court. Just like Supreme Court, it has jurisdiction all across the world, all across India. Similarly, ICC also has its jurisdiction to its members, right? So it is a permanent judicial institution that was established back in 2002 under what is known as Rome Statute. And it is headquartered in the beautiful city of Hague, located in Holland, also known as Netherlands, right? Now, the mandate of this court is to investigate, adjudicate and prosecute individuals who are responsible for committing genocide, war crimes, crimes against humanity and crimes of aggression. So, it investigates, adjudicate and prosecutes who? Does it prosecute member countries? No. It prosecutes individuals. Individuals like you and I, we can be subjected to a case in the International Criminal Court. Now, the members of ICC right now are 123 member states. The important point that you need to remember is many famous countries are not a part of Rome Statute. That means they do not adhere to the principles of International Criminal Court. It includes our country, it includes US, China and Russia. So basically, bigger countries are not a part of International Criminal Court. So how does the jurisdiction of ICC differs? Let us understand this. Now, first of all, this court has 18 judges who represent their member country. So these 123 member country, they individually send their judges and they are elected to the office as the judges of International Criminal Court, and they are elected for a 9-year term. Now, ICC, that is the International Criminal Court, it can only hear a case if either the country where the crime happened, it belongs or it has signed the Rome Statute, or the person who is responsible for the crime, his or her origin country has signed the Rome Statute. So, understood the jurisdiction of ICC? It can only prosecute a person who might originate from the countries who are members of Rome Statute, or if the crime happened in a country who has signed the Rome Statute. So therefore, an Indian citizen, if he is committing a crime in India, he or she won't be subjected to the jurisdiction of ICC. Suppose if Indian citizen commits a crime in another country and that country has signed Rome Statute, then that Indian person might be subjected to the jurisdiction of ICC. Understood the difference? Now, after issuing an arrest warrant, what you need to remember, ICC does not have its own police. Rather, it will request the countries to make the arrest themselves and hand them over back to the ICC. And unlike the International Court of Justice, what is International Court of Justice? I will let you know. No need to worry. Just remember this. Unlike International Court of Justice, ICJ, it is not officially an organization registered or affiliated with the United Nations. ICC is one of the ICJ is one of the principal organs of UN, but not ICC. Understood? Any doubt? Now, what you need to understand here basically is the difference between International Criminal Court and International Court of Justice, right? Now, both of them has certain similarities, that both of them are headquartered in the same place, that is Hague in Netherlands, but the differences are different. First of all, ICJ, it acts as the official court of United Nations, whereas ICC, it is an independent court who may or may not receive referrals from United Nations Security Council. Similarly, the case types that are handled by these two bodies are also different. The ICC, it handles criminal cases for individuals who are responsible for criminal cases, they will be tried at ICC. Whereas ICJ, it basically handles disputes between its member countries or the countries who are members of UN. If they are involved in certain dispute, that might be referred to ICJ. So understand here, countries are representing themselves in the ICJ, but not in ICC. ICC, it basically prosecutes and investigates crimes against individuals. Similarly, the subject matter they both deal with is also very different. For example, ICC, it deals with individual crimes like crimes against humanity, genocide, war crimes, crimes of aggression. Whereas ICJ, it handles the sovereign matters like treaty disputes, water-based sharing disputes, sovereignty issues, issues relating to border, these kind of stuff, right? Now, the funding for ICJ, it is provided by their member countries and also from voluntary contributions from governments and NGOs. Whereas the funding of ICJ is provided exclusively by whom? By United Nations. Understand? So you must be remembering the case relating to Kulbhushan Jadhav, who is accused of being an Indian spy and he was arrested by Pakistan. So to get stay on his death penalty, India approached which body? India approached International Court of Justice. Why? India filed a case against Pakistan. Understood? So this is how ICJ works. Whenever there is a detailed article on ICJ, we'll cover that also. I gave you this reference so that you understand the differences between ICJ and ICC, okay? Now let's see if you are able to solve this question. Quickly, I will get out of your way for once. Well, no, Rishi, he was arrested in Iran. Some individuals, they kidnapped him and smuggled him into Pakistan. So it is suspicious. It is actually suspicious that the ISI, they actually got him kidnapped from Iran and subjected him to arrest in Pakistan. So that is why also his arrest was quite unfair for India. Now, all of you are saying option B is correct. So let's see, okay. ICC is a judicial organization of the United Nations responsible for handling individual criminal cases, correct. The ICC can prosecute individuals from crimes only if either the accused country or the crime location is party to Rome Statute. Again, correct. ICC has its own enforcement mechanism to ensure compliance with its arrest warrants, incorrect. I told you they do not have an enforcement mechanism. Rather, they request the country, please arrest the individuals and hand them back to ICC. Right? And the first statement is incorrect. It is not a judicial organ of the United Nations. Sorry for that mistake. Okay. So first and second are in first and third are incorrect. Second one is right. So option B is your right answer. Sorry about that mistake. Well, there is a reflection here on the screen. From when I see the screen, there is a reflection which you might not see from your side, right? So this is why it happened. No excuses, but that is why it happened. Okay. Last option not seen on screen. I understand that is the ticker going. Last option basically here is 1, 2, 3. Okay. I did not let it see you because it was not relevant from the exam's perspective. Now let us move to the next article of the day. This next article actually appeared in yesterday's newspaper, but you understand as yesterday we had a lot of different articles to cover now. So I'm covering it today. My sole intention is to cover everything. I might take an article next day, but I will do it properly. That is what I want to do. Okay. So let us understand this article. As you can see from this image, Prime Minister Modi was in his official visit to the country Namibia. So what is the relevance of Namibia for India? We'll try to find out in our today's discussion. And as you can see, he's shaking hands with the president of Namibia. Okay. Now, Prime Minister Modi, he visited Namibia, which was the first official visit by an Indian Prime Minister in as much as 27 years. And this enhances India's position as a global partner of the countries representing Global South. So in this trip, where Prime Minister Modi went to 5 different countries, and the beauty aspect of this trip was that all these 5 countries are developing countries. So it shows that India also holds its relations with Global South quite important. Understood? Now, Namibia is a country where it is located. It is located in southwestern part of Africa. This is Namibia. How many of you have seen Hindi movie Gajni, where Amir Khan was there, which was a remake of a Tamil movie starring Surya? How many of you have seen Gajni? Well, you remember that song where Asin and Amir Khan, they were singing in a desert, Guzarish. Very nice song by A. R. Rahman. How many A. R. Rahman fans here? Well, just watch the song, very beautiful song, Guzarish. That song was shot in a Namibian desert. Understood? So that is a fun fact. Now let us come back to our discussion. Namibia is a country, as I've told you, is located in southwestern Africa, and it has also access to Atlantic Ocean, making it a strategic gateway for India to go inlands towards landlocked African countries. The capital city of Namibia is Windhoek, and the neighboring countries, as it will be much prominent from this example, Angola, Zambia here, because you can see the border of Namibia stretches up till here. Botswana and South Africa. So these are the countries that are bordering Namibia. So all in all, 4 countries border Namibia: Angola, Zambia, Botswana and South Africa. Whereas the western boundary of this country, it is sharing it with a water body, Atlantic Ocean. Right, now why does Namibia matters to India? First of all, it has strategic and geopolitical significance for India as a country. First, it acts as a gateway to southern African nations, particularly the countries who are landlocked. So we can reach to these countries via Atlantic Ocean and via Namibia. Second factor, it strengthens India's relations and ties with the countries representing global south. First of all, India is promoting cooperation between south and south, that more progressed of developing countries like India, it should cooperate with lesser developing countries so that they grow together. So this is called a South-South cooperation. And also in recent years, India is trying to increase its outreach to different African nations. And the reason here is Chinese influence. You know what happens? China invests heavily in a country. It gives lesser developed countries big loans, knowing the fact that they won't be able to return it. And in demand, China demands that access should be provided to key infrastructural sites like ports, airports, etc. So this is known as debt trap diplomacy. So India provides to these countries as an alternative. India says that don't take Chinese loans. I will help you with developmental project. I will give you loans, small amount of loans, and I will help you co-develop a project which you and we both will handle together. So basically, countries are not required to give these critical infrastructural assets to India. That is why India is a quite attractive proposition for African countries. Understood? So that is why India is trying to counter Chinese influence here by increasing its outreach to Africa. How many of you have heard of Asian African Growth Corridor? This is a project, infrastructural project intended by India in active cooperation with Japan so as to construct important infrastructure in the countries of Africa. Understood? So this is strategic and geopolitical significance for India. Now let us understand what are the significance of Namibia in the fields of energy and mineral resources. First of all, Namibia is world's third largest producer of a very critical item known as uranium. And you may know it already, uranium is used for nuclear power purposes. Now the problem with India is that India does not have enough resource for uranium. So it depends on imports from different countries. So when it has good relations with countries like Namibia, who are one of the largest producers of uranium across the world, you can source uranium for your civil nuclear energy needs. And you understand, in coming days, India is going to increase its reliance on nuclear power. So for that reason, Namibia is also very important. Similarly, Namibia also has major reserves for critical minerals like lithium, zinc and rare earth elements, which has a very good potential because we need these items to manufacture electronics. We require these items to manufacture green energy tech like solar cells. So we can source these items from Namibia. Similarly, for energy cooperation also, India can provide green technology to these countries, increase their deployment of solar energies by utilizing their own companies. So these are the avenues that enables India to trade actively with Namibia. We can source raw materials from them and we can sell them complete products which they can use for energy purposes. Understood? Similarly, economic and trade potential also have been explored. In the visit of Prime Minister Modi, both of these countries agreed to implement UPI also in Namibia. And you can understand UPI has made life easier for us. Similarly, when implemented, UPI will also lead to increased financial inclusion and less cash economy in countries like Namibia. So it boosts our ability to deliver fintech to other countries. Understood? Similarly, for pharma and healthcare, Namibia is one of the key importers of Indian pharmaceutical goods. So it provides us with bigger market, and you understand India is one of the largest producer of generic medicines. So we can sell those generic medicines at a cheaper cost in Namibian market, much cheaper than compared to Western medicines. Also, India is taking quite initiative in investment and skill development. Indian companies have invested heavily in Namibia, as much as more than $600 million in the fields of IT, in the fields of mining, agriculture. Indian companies are looking to take mines so that they can mine lithium, zinc, etc. from Namibia and send them back to India. So this is how it provides benefit for both countries. When we'll invest in Namibia, it will lead to increased jobs for local people. Similarly, it will enable us to source key elements from there. Understand? So this is the economic and trade potential. Now, again, the domains of this cooperation has increased also to defense and maritime cooperation. First of all, Namibia has already participated in African Indian defense exercise, India-Africa defense dialogue, India Sagar initiative. Similarly, for Indian ocean security, you need certain radars which can be installed in different regions of Africa. Similarly, if we install radars in the regions of Namibia, etc., it can improve our maritime domain awareness and also improve our naval diplomacy with African countries. Also, India trains the soldiers of Namibia under defense training and equipment sharing program, where scope for even defense exports remain. As India slowly is becoming one of the largest producers of weapons in the world, now we can start exporting them to other countries, especially Namibia, who need them. And also we train their military personnel under the military training program. So this highlights that our cooperation with Namibia is not related to just one aspect. It spreads across different domains. It spreads across economic and employment. It spreads across military, it spreads across mining and natural resources, it spreads also geopolitically. Understand? Now with Prime Minister Modi, you understand the relations between two governments are not enough. You also need to improve the relations between the people of these countries, right? So first of all, the Prime Minister visit to this country signals that India is now renewing its focus on Africa. Similarly, India is also providing education to Namibian students, as many Namibian students, they attend universities in India. And India not just trains students, but it also trains defense personnel, public health personnel, diplomats, and even cricketers, right? So this highlights our cultural impact, how our soft power, being a dominant player in the field of cricket, dominant player in the field of defense and public health, it helps us to increase our outreach with other people. Similarly, both of these countries also share a cultural bond. That is why Indian diaspora who's living there, they are acting as an ambassadors of Indian culture. So this is how the interaction or relations between these two countries can improve significantly, right? So this was the potential. Now, let's see how many of you are able to solve this question. Generic medicine means, well, there are branded medicines, right? But the problem with branded medicines now, that they are quite expensive in nature. So what Indian companies do, they take licenses from the parent companies, pay them royalty and manufacture same medicine but at a cheaper cost. Those are called as generic medicines, right? Those medicines are basically not available in a packaging. Those are available freely, but they are as good in quality as compared to the normal medicines. Sorry if you're not able to see the question. Let me get aside. This is the question. Well, Namibia is among the top 3 producers of uranium in the world and holds significant reserves of lithium and rare earth metals. This I have told you, it is correct. India and Namibia, they have signed an agreement in 2022 for translocation of lions as a part of wildlife conservation program. This is incorrect. They have signed an agreement, but for translocation of which species? Cheetah. Which brand has their motto Cheetah bhi pita hai? Can anyone tell me? Yes, Sushmita, correct. Juhi, correct. Bhavna, correct. Anar correct. Mamim, Yashi, Anandu, Dhyan, Reshma, Anuj, Yash, all of you are correct. Not Puma. Mountain Dew. Sorry if you are too young to know that. It was actually a very popular ad whenever Mountain Dew was introduced in India, na? The ad said cheetah bhi peeta hai, and there was a cheetah who was drinking Mountain Dew. But the funny aspect of it, when that product was launched, na, cheetahs were not present in India. Sorry to say, advertising officials should also prepare for UPSC and watch these kind of sessions. Okay? Yes, Mountain Dew. Now let us move to this next article. It talks about that ship has been arrested after Kerala has claimed damages. So the big question is, you can arrest a criminal. We all know that. But can you arrest a ship? Yes, you can. How can you arrest a ship? Let me tell you that. Now, the context of our today's discussion is that the Kerala High Court, it has ordered the conditional arrest of a Liberian container vessel known as MSC Akiteta II, which has currently been docked in the port of Vininium. Now, this was in response to an Admiralty suit which was filed by Kerala government, and in this suit, Kerala government claimed from the owner of the ship to compensate them with 9,518 crore rupees for the damages. So, for what damage was Kerala government demanding so much amount of money? Now, how many of you remember this ship when it sunk in the Arabian Sea very near to the Kerala's coast? This was a recent event and we have dealt in our sessions repeatedly, right? Now what happened that when this ship known as MSC Elsa III, it sank near the Kerala coast in Alappuzha on May the 25th, Kerala government saw that there was a big environmental disaster because this vessel, before sinking, it was carrying more than 600 plus containers which consisted of hazardous material like plastic pellets and diesel. So when these ships sunk, automatically you can understand these container items, they must have leaked into the waters, and this spill, it caused serious environmental and economic damage to the Kerala's maritime ecosystem. So to compensate for this damages, Kerala government demanded 9,518 crore of rupees from the owner of this particular ship which sank near to the Kerala's coast. Right. So in this regard, in response to this suit which was filed by the Kerala government, the Kerala's High Court has ordered for conditional arrest of the ship which has been docked at Vininium port to secure the compensation claim. Now the Kerala government, it alleged that the MSC Elsa third ship which sank and the MSC Akiteta second ship which was arrested, they are sister ships who are owned by a same company known as Mediterranean Shipping Company. Now in their defense, this company claimed that both of these ships are registered under different shell companies. So this company is not liable to pay for damages done by this particular ship. Now Kerala state government has claimed that although they might be registered to different shell companies, but this is an organization structure which was fraudulent in nature so as to allow this kind of a company to evade paying compensation to those who are affected. So this was the background of the case. Now the big question remains is how can you arrest a ship? Because there is a law passed by Indian Parliament known as Admiralty Jurisdiction and Settlement of Maritime Claims Act 2017. This law actually allows for arrest of ship. It actually replaced colonial era laws like Admiralty Court 1861 and Colonial Courts of Admiralty Act 1890, and the purpose of bringing this act was to govern how maritime disputes are handled. In case of damages to the ship, in case of disputes relating to the ownership, wages of the seafarers, environmental damage and loss of life and injuries at sea, this act handles all these circumstances. Understood? We'll get into detail of what this act allows and not allows. Now, the jurisdiction under this act was expanded recently in 2017. So earlier, the jurisdiction was restricted only to few high courts in India like Bombay, Madras as well as Calcutta High Court. Now this has been extended to other high courts of Kerala, Karnataka, Odisha, Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. That is why Kerala High Court was able to give a judgment in this particular case. Now the jurisdiction of this act, it covers 12 nautical miles from the coast, which includes not just seabed but also subsoil and airspace. And as this ship sunk less than 12 nautical miles from our coast. That is why we were able to claim damages from this sinking, because this act allows us to do so. Understand? Now, what happens is that if you look at the environmental damage provisions in the Act, Section 4 of the Admiralty Act, it allows maritime claims for environmental damages and cleanup cost. So, as the oil spill happened after this incident, Kerala government obviously required to spend a lot of amount of money to prevent the environmental damages. So, therefore, Kerala government is seeking to claim this compensation from the owner of the ship. Similarly, other laws are also there which can enable you to handle these kind of cases. For example, Merchant Shipping Act of 1958, it holds ship owners liable for oil spills. Similarly, Environmental Protection Act of 1986, it empowers actions against polluters, and in this case, who was the polluter? The ship company. Also, National Green Tribunal handles environmental compensation cases. A similar case happened in 2016 near the coast of Mumbai. NGT ordered 100 crore of compensation after a particular ship spilled oil near the coast of Mumbai, right? So these are the historical precedents, and the Section 4 of the Admiralty Act, it allows maritime claims for environmental damages and cleanup cost, right? Oh, Anandu, you're from Alappuzha. Is my pronunciation of Alappuzha right? And what is the pronunciation of Vininium? Is Vidinium or Vininium? What is the exact position? Because I recorded a video on Vininium and people from Kerala actually pulled my leg a lot. I'm using a good word, they pulled my leg a lot. They criticized me a lot based on my pronunciation of Vininium. So I still don't know what is the actual pronunciation of Vininium. Good evening, Saujanya. Now, under Section 5 of Admiralty Act, the High Court has the power to arrest ship even under the position known as demise charter. Demise charter is also known as bareboat charter. Now, what happens in this regard is a demise charterer, he can temporarily assume the full control of the vessel for the time being. So, using this provision, the High Court of Kerala has allowed the Kerala government to arrest this ship and to control the ownership of this ship for a time being until or unless the parent company claims the compensation back. Similarly, the court has accepted Kerala claims and has ordered the ship arrest until unless the owners deposit the claimed amount or furnish adequate security for the same. So basically, to recover money, they've arrested the ship and they've said that the ship that they have arrested belongs to the same company who also owned the ship that capsized near the coast of Kerala. Okay. Now let's see how many of you are able to solve this question. Last option again here is 1, 2, 3, okay? With reference to Admiralty Act, let us consider the statements. The Act empowers certain high courts in India to exercise Admiralty jurisdiction up to 200 nautical miles from the baseline. This is incorrect. I told you how many nautical miles are there which it can exercise its claims. 12 nautical miles. Second statement, under the Act, only the High Courts of Bombay, Calcutta and Madras are vested with Admiralty jurisdiction. This would have been true had we been covering this question back in 2016, but from 2017 onwards, we have seen the jurisdiction of this Act has been increased to include many other High Courts, including Kerala High Court. So, second statement also incorrect. The Act allows for adjudication of claims related to ship ownership, seafarer wage and loss of life at sea. This is a correct option. Now, which of the statements given above is or are not correct? So, what we have to identify? Not correct options. For third one is correct, first and second aren't correct. So, option C is your right answer. Understood now? That is why I tell you, Chandru, Yash, VP Dhyan, Ashi, yes, that answering first won't get you anywhere, but answering correct will lead you to clearing the prelims examination. So please develop a habit of rereading the questions properly, and if you are in hurry, please read the questions twice. Because what happens if you mark the questions incorrectly in the prelims examination? Minus 0.66 marks. And what happens if you mark the questions correctly in prelims? Plus 2 marks. So it is your decision. What do you want? Plus 2 or minus 0.66? Now let us deal with this another article. It also appeared in yesterday's newspaper. It talks about reforming the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. Right? Now the international climate negotiations, which was held under the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, it has been facing the crisis of credibility in recent years. So let us first understand what is the problem UNFCCC is facing, and then we'll understand the solutions also. Because whenever you are going to write the exam now, in your mains examination, you have to be constructive in your thought process. You don't have to be like the editorials of Hindu who just criticize. What you need to do is, first of all, highlight the problems, but also you need to suggest how to deal with those problems and rectify those problems. Because this is essentially what an administrator is expected to do. Same thing that you want to be by clearing this UPSC exam, right? So you don't have to criticize everything. You can criticize, but only if you have the solutions. And this is what even the UPSC demands from you. So please remember this. Gaant maan lo isko, okay? Now, first of all, why has commitments made under the United Nations Framework Convention has failed, right? Every one of you know what is an UNFCCC. Should I summarize it very quickly? Anyone? No need, okay. Okay, Ashi Reshma बोल रहे हो, ठीक है. I'll give you a very simple example, right? Suppose you want to clear your mains examination, right? For that you require answer writing. So I'll take a session of all of you and I'll say that submit me your strategy and plans for what you are going to do to clear your mains examination, right? So every one of you will give me a commitment. See sir, for the next 3 months, every day I will write 10 answers. Right, so this is your commitment that you have made to me, and I am the negotiator or I am the facilitator of this commitment, right? And if you are failing to fulfill your own commitments, I will punish you in one way or the other, right? So this is what UNFCCC also does. UNFCCC, to every of its member countries, which also includes India, it has told these countries that submit a plan to me to highlight how do you plan to control global warming in your own country. So India said that we will increase our reliance on renewable energy, we will grow more trees and forest, etc. and etc. Right? And we will also reduce our dependence on polluting sources of fuels like fossil fuels, coal, etc. These are known as NDC. So it is the UNFCCC who is responsible to first make countries promise of what they are going to do and also help them facilitate exchanges of finance, etc. Right? So suppose if you all tell me to write the answers, and if you are promise me to write the answers now, and if one of you are writing good answers and some of you aren't, I'll say please take help from the ones who are writing good answers. So this is what UNFCCC does. Understood now? You know, I'm in the 7th floor of the building where Adda takes classes also. Adda is the parent company of the StudyIQ. So in my next studio, there's a ma'am who's taking the session and I can hear her. Adda faculties are very energetic. You'll see even late in the evening, and I like it. When you see late in the evening, they'll be delivering lectures in their full throttle, which takes effort, a lot of effort, right? Understood now? What is UNFCCC? Now, first, the problem that UNFCCC is facing now is lack of accountability. First of all, developed countries, they have repeatedly promised something, but they are not fulfilling their promises either in reducing their emissions or providing finances to the needy countries, right? So that is why there is no method under the UNFCCC to punish these countries who are not fulfilling their promises, because UNFCCC is weak when it comes to enforcing the promises. Because despite 30 plus years of negotiation, whenever countries they have even made binding commits, there are no mechanism left with UNFCCC to punish countries who have not fulfilled their promises. Similarly, whenever negotiations happen in UNFCCC, those resolutions, whatever they promise, they are only adopted when all countries agree to it, and this is called as decision making by consensus. So what happens in the decision making consensus now, even if one country does not want to implement it now, that resolution won't be passed. So there should be a different voting mechanism as compared to consensus, because following a consensus based decision making leads to deadlock where even one or a handful of countries can stop a decision from being implemented. Another problem with UNFCCC is the withdrawal of key players. Now, who is the world's largest emitter of greenhouse gases? Any idea? It is United States. And you know, United States, back when Trump was in power for the first time, and now also they withdrew from UNFCCC. So this highlights when biggest greenhouse gas emitter is not going to fulfill its commitment. So what's the point of such global conventions, right? Similarly, there are also conflict of interest, because if you remember the last few UNFCCC meetings now, they've happened in the countries who are major producers of crude oil, which is a polluting source of energy. So it happened in Dubai, it happened in Azerbaijan's Baku. So it has raised question that the countries who are hosting this meeting now, they actually have an interest in not letting these UNFCCC succeed, right? Because these are the biggest producers of crude oil, which is a polluting source of energy, and to prevent global warming, you need to reduce your dependence on crude oil and coal, etc., right? Similarly, this meeting has also led to marginalization of the vulnerable communities or vulnerable voices. First of all, the developing countries, small island developing states, they need the climate finances the most, because they are the first ones who are facing the brunt of climate change. But these negotiations, they come to be dominated by bigger countries. So that is why this does not provide an adequate opportunity to vulnerable countries to highlight their grievances and demand compensation for it, right? So this has been the problem associated with the UNFCCC. Now, why do we need change in UNFCCC? First of all, the negotiations that happens are inefficient. They are quite lengthy. They have overlapping agendas, and I've already told you there is a procedural delay because they follow a consensus based decision making. So even if one country is opposing the move, it won't be implemented. Similarly, the amount of financing that the developing countries need to implement their NDCs, you require a large amount of financing. And the developing countries, they are demanding how much amount of money from developed countries? $2.3 trillion. Now, earlier, developed countries said that we will provide you only $100 billion. After significant negotiations, they have increased it to how much? $300 billion. So this is well short of what the developing countries want. They want $2.3 trillion, which is $2,300 billion, but they are getting how much? $300 billion. So basically, there is a shortfall of $2,000 billion, roughly $2 trillion. Right? So these are the problems faced by UNFCCC. Similarly, globally, there is a growing climate crisis. Every year, you will see that that year was the warmest year on record. 2003 was the warmest year of record, then 2004 came, it became the warmest year of record, and the data for 2025 is not yet available. So this means that slowly by slowly, world is becoming not fit to live in because of global climate crisis, and these countries have not agreed on a measure that can reduce it. Also, whenever an institution fails to fulfill its promises, it leads to erosion of trust. Suppose if you go and file the FIR in the police, and if the police is not able to solve that case, automatically your trust on the police system will reduce. This is the same with UNFCCC. So it is leading to erosion of trust and lack of inclusivity also. As I've earlier told you, marginalized countries are not having a good say in their negotiations. Similarly, even the members of civil society, they are not adequately represented in the forum. So these are the problems associated with UNFCCC. Now the best part, what can be done to do away with all these problems. First is that you need to reform the decision making process. I've told you consensus based decision making is good when you have to get all the countries to agree, but it also comes with the problem that even one country can create a roadblock for implementation of the same. That is why you need a different kind of a voting system, that is a majority based voting system. If majority countries agree on one thing, it can be implemented just like a democratic setup. Similarly, you also need to enhance accountability. Institutional mechanisms should be there to monitor the progress done by countries and also penalize the countries who are not fulfilling their commitments. It can be monetary penalization, it can be another penalization like the ostracization, etc. Similarly, you also need to influence the influence of fossil fuels in the decision making of UNFCCC. As I've already told you, countries like UAE, Azerbaijan, they have hosted the meeting and these are the biggest producers of crude oil. So you need to reduce the participation of these countries and also the oil companies who represent their interest in the sessions. Also, you need to increase the climate finance. I've told you, developing countries need how much? $2.3 trillion. Whereas developed countries are promising only to give $300 billion and that will be implemented from 2035, not from today. So this is the problem. You need to increase the amount and this amount should be provided to the countries who need it at the earliest possible time, not 10 years after now. Also, you need to broaden the engagement. You need to include other members of the communities also, not just member state, but you also need to include members of civil society, experts in the discussion so that they know what is going on. And also you need to innovate with multilateral mechanisms. So whenever climate finance is facing a problem, smaller countries can form a group and help each other, right? Just like a smaller study group. So if I say I'll take a class, you'll have a problem. But when you study on your own with 2 to 3 people, now you'll understand better. Same concept can be applied here also in making UNFCCC better. What you need to do? You need to control global warming. So anything that you can do to control global warming now is good. Be it reform in the institution or making different institution under the parent institution, right? Now this is the practice question that you can write in the exam. This is exactly on the patterns of mains examination. Please try to read it. When you start the answer writing now, start with the introduction here first. First highlight what is UNFCCC, right? Once you highlight UNFCCC, then highlight problems with UNFCCC, then give solutions and then conclude your answer. Once you conclude your answer, now please take a very positive approach in your answer writing. Do not needlessly criticize. Criticize only when it is necessary and be very, very gentle in your criticism. Right? Because it shows whether you're an optimistic or you're pessimistic and no one likes pessimists, right? So please remember, write answers with a positive approach. Now it is 4:55. Now there is this next article. So before that article, I have something I wanted to tell you. Now, earlier, we closed the admission for 2026 batch because admissions to those batches were filled. But we received a lot of phone calls from the students who still want to give 2026 exam and for one reason or the other, they missed out on taking admission. So we have started a new batch for 2026 and this batch, the admissions will close on 15th of July, right? So this is a parallel batch specially meant for students who are looking to give exams next year and you understand there is only 10 months amount of time that is left. So please make sure to take admissions in one of these batches. You can obviously take admissions. For that, you can use the code ATS Live because it will help you get this admission at a discounted rate, which again is available till 15th of July. Do you need help in how to apply the code? I have told you multiple times. You can go to the website, create an account, click all language English option. And the first tile here, 2026 is the one that you need to click. It shows 34,999. But once you apply the code ATS Live here now, it will help you get discounts. That is the 7,000 rupees discount. Okay. Click apply. As soon as you click apply, you'll see 7,000 rupees discount is applicable. And the best batch that we have will be available for 27,999. If you have any problem, please reach out us on 9240231070. They will help you out with any of your problem and they will also suggest you what is best as per your requirement. Please do not forget to let them know to apply this code because it helps you save 7,000 of you or your parents' hard-earned money. Right? Now moving to this article actually talks about Jaguar's crash, but since we don't have time, I will record this article separately and get it uploaded. Please do not miss out on watching this article. It is very relevant and these kind of questions you can expect in your interview, right? So please watch this session. We'll see each other possibly on Monday because I have a social obligation that I need to attend. Although I'd hate it to miss out on another class, but this is something a grown up is expected to do, right? So we'll see each other on possibly on Monday. I will update to you if I come tomorrow. Okay, please have a very good weekend. And if you have any problems, you can contact me in the Telegram group. So have a great weekend.